I'm Robert.
And I'm Frida.
Happy Black History Month 2024.
And happy 100th year anniversary to the town of Edmonston. Wishing you many, many more.
I believe in this Sentinel celebration of Black History Month. And in the city of Edmonston, we are come to Promised Land. And God promised them, said this promised land is going to be full of milk and honey, which means economically they're going to be fruitful. They're going to be fruitful in every area. So my message that we are come to 100 years represent a generation in the Bible, represent a generation. So we have come to the end of one generation. We are starting another generation. I believe God is taking the city of Edmonston and the Black community and the Black people into a new phase of, fruitfulness and restoration.
This will be my 42nd year in June. When we first moved in, we had trying times, racial issues with the police and even with some of the community members.
I believe it was 1987. I was a student back during that time. The University of Maryland had less than 30% dorms. I was like, wow, I need to find me a home.
I've lived in Edmonston since 1992, I want to say. And when I moved into Elizabeth Landing, it had just been built.
I've lived in Edmonston for almost 30 years. When I first came to Edmonston, the race was basically white. It was probably 80% white in Edmonston, and maybe 20% Black. And now it has really changed.
We have been here 29 years plus.
It's been a very decent and I would say beautiful city to live in.
I have been a resident of Edmonston for 29 years. One day I just picked up a newspaper and looked at foreclosed properties and took a ride, and I got to the property that I live at now, and I was like, wow, I like that. The demographics were all over the place. Now it's slightly changed. It's become more Latin American, but it's still a community, a real close-knit community.
I got here in 1994. One of the days that I was moving, I saw my neighbor that was right next door. White gentleman, had the old flannel shirt on and the old buckle, and I thought, oh Lord, like, this guy's probably gonna be a thorn in my side. That man ended up being a father figure in my life.
I have lived in Edmonston since 1996. I attended University of Maryland College Park, and I would always ride my bike on the bike path through Edmonston. And I always thought it was a nice, quiet, inviting neighborhood. So once I got married, I said, let me revisit Edmonston.
I lived since 1999. Before I actually moved, I spoke to some of the families, the people I saw, and they encouraged me to come. So I came, and I'm happy.
Here was the perfect place, and this is where I've been for the past 21, going on 22 years. It's close to all transportation, churches, hospitals. It is a convenient spot.
I have lived in Edmonston for 19 years, and what brought me here is that I had the opportunity to watch my house being built. So I was working with Housing Initiative Partnership, and that's how I've purchased my first home.
I lived in Edmonston 12 years. I enjoy it. I like it. I like the people.
My family and I have lived in the town of Edmonston for almost 14 years. It was just my husband and I. We were expecting our first child. I found interesting how diverse the community, was very welcoming. It didn't matter where you're from, you were accepted.
Now, I've been living in Edmonston for about 14 years. So I lived in a neighboring town. Once I met and married my wife, I moved. Yeah, my wife is the mayor.
I've lived in Edmonston for 9 years. I commuted back and forth from New Jersey to Edmonston weekly. After that year and a half, I decided to move in with her.
My name is Odell Carter. I am the pastor of One Way Life Church. We have been here in the town of Edmonston now going on 8 years. I didn't have a building, I have a place, I didn't have anything. God put her in my presence, the mayor of the town of Edmonston. And I said to her, I said, you know, God has placed on my heart to start a church. And she said, I have a place for you.
My name is Pastor Joseph Akiode. The name of our ministry is Jubilee Christian Church International. Our congregation was growing, bigger, larger than the building we were using before. And I would say, first and foremost, we were led by God to go to a bigger space. And for almost 2 years, we were looking for that bigger space. Eventually, we found this space we're using right now. We've had the ministry in the city of Edmonston now for 9 years.
The town of Edmonston was incorporated in 1924, and the town's population was first recorded in the 1930 census. With a population total less than 1,000, a demographic breakdown was not provided in the 1940 census. The 1950 census recorded close to 1,200 people. Nearly 6% of the population was Black. The population barely grew according to the 1960 census report. However, the Black population increased over 1%. By the 1970 census, the overall population grew, but the Black population decreased. In the 1980 census report, the Black population increased over 3%, but the town population decreased. There was a marked decrease to less than 900 in the town's population. In the 2000 census report, a little less than 1,000 people. It is believed demographics were well established. The Black population was calculated to be over 40%. The 2010 census noted a population growth to nearly 1,500, but a decrease of Blacks by about 9%. In the 2020 census, the town's population grew to over 1,600, but the Black population decreased again, just under 25%.
My business is Odyssey, Schenkel, Bus and Truck Repair. It's the first 10 years of Odyssey. In the beginning of it, we ran in Capitol Heights, Maryland. So I had this bright idea that I'm going to buy me a lot because I can buy a spot and still pay the same amount of money. I was fooled about that. But I met up with the group of Economic Development Center of the Prince George's County, Shelley Gross Wade and Earl King at the time. Ms. Shelley called me up one day and said, I have a company located in Edmonston, in a small town in Hyattsville, and the owner's trying to sell, and her husband passed away. And so she scheduled to sit down, and myself and Miss Schenkel, we closed the deal on August the 2nd. When we bought the company, we were Odyssey SST, Bus and Truck Repair. And we bought the name and the rights to Earl Schenkel Truck Bodies. So we ran the two companies mirrored for about a year, and then we merged, and that's why we're called today Odyssey Schenkel Bus and Truck Repair. We got a phone call from Edmonston Fire Department, and they said, Mr. Lee, are you the owner of this business? We heard you just purchased it. I said, yes, sir, I did. And I told them what was happening. He says, well, your building's on fire. I was like, what? And it was a mess, and the entire blade was just in blaze. And all my stuff from my 10 years of business the first time was just burning up in the bay. So we quickly had to adapt. I'm proud of the company where we're now celebrating. August will make 28 years. 28 years of business. So that's a long time.
I am a retired captain with the Metropolitan Police Department in D.C. I loved it. I loved it. Even when you have those off days, I'm not going to say bad days, even when you had your off days, it still didn't deter me. The next day I was ready to go back and go at it again. I loved the job that I was doing.
I became deathly ill with tuberculosis. I guess I was sick for about 4 to 6 months. The physician's assistant said to me that she had heard that if one went into a raw diet, you could basically reverse your illness or disease. And so I went to drinking green drinks 6, 7 days. I felt better than I did the entire 6 months, better than I did the entire 32 years of my age at that time. So convincingly so that I walked away from engineering and decided to start my own business, helping individuals, predominantly African Americans, combat obesity, heart disease, and diabetes by drinking green drinks. And it was very difficult. I mean, even with trying to convince people that they could reverse their illness or disease, the resounding thing was people said, I just can't do the drink thing for very long. I need to be chewing on something. And so I says, well, what's a popular snack? Popular snack is popcorn. Everybody loves popcorn. And how do we love our popcorn? Buttery and cheesy. So the engineer inside of me was like, okay, so how can we take something that's not good for you and make it good for you? And I decided to come up with True Pop Popcorn. And that was the beginning of Life by Dallas Incorporated. And True Pop Popcorn just happens to be a cornerstone product of the company that still works towards educating, equipping, encouraging, and empowering people to make healthier lifestyle choices.
I worked in a medical facility for 22 years. It was good working. I learned a lot. I worked with a lot of medical professionals.
I work in the emergency room for over 10 years. I worked, right now I'm working more on the admin side of things, but I love giving back to the community, which is why I got in healthcare in the very first place.
I'm currently in charge of a tow truck company, I guess. We came to Edmonston in 2000, I want to say late, maybe fall 2000. We came in as another entity, which was AGR, and I sat down with a couple of people and they were talking about name changes and everything. And so what we tried to do was to diversify how you can only have a tow truck company. So we just said, hey, that's it, a tow truck company. And it just spiraled. I mean, we were getting calls from 81, Texas, California. I mean, we came out the gate amazing. We the hottest thing going. Nobody knew about it. As time came along, maybe around 2010, 12, more people figured it out. They tried to get into it. And the more you add into our business, the more that it gets to be overwhelming. So many different companies, so many good guys, so many bad guys, so many guys taking cars, so many cars. And so I think that for me, it's been consistent because cars will break down. People will park in the fire lane. If the sign says no parking fire lane, they're going to park in it. It's a given. But for the most part, it's been consistent. And I think in being an entrepreneur or even in business, if we were having a business training class right now, I would tell them, hey, it's not about how much money you make in business. It's about how consistent can you stay with your money.
I'm now currently employed with Howard University as an administrative assistant with the School of Business and in a firm called the DC Small Business Development Center.
I am an ESOL teacher, English as a second language teacher. I've been in the educational profession for 15 years. And a lot of the residents actually attend there. And I see parents from time to time. From the community. So it kind of keeps me close to the community and it gives me a chance to give back.
Safe Counseling Services is the child of Dr. Sheila and myself. SAFE is an acronym for Self Authentically Forever Evolving Counseling Services.
We are both mental health clinicians. His specialty is substance use, any type of addictions, that kind of thing, where mine is clinical mental health, anything, depression, anxiety, domestic violence, intimate partner violence, any of those components.
I partner on the substance use side, as I said, Community Crisis Services, Prince George County Drug Court, probation, parole. Also a specialty of mine is pre and post-op liver transplant support when it comes to alcohol use disorder. I'm partnered with MedStar Georgetown Hospital. In 2011, It took a week and a day for me to get a liver. So I'm here on purpose to provide what I'm providing to you all, what I provide to SAFE and of this union.
Barry is big on the population of returning citizens, returning from being incarcerated, returning stay-at-home moms, going back into the communities. I mentioned domestic violence, some of those ladies trying to get back on their feet. And so we thought, wow, with some of our clients, we wish we had clothes or whatever. So what we want to do, like you mentioned, is have a place literally in Edmonston or near, so we can say, hey, so-and-so, let's go to Authentic. We're going to go there. You shop, get whatever you need. You got a job interview, here's a size 8 or here's a size whatever. Yeah, they can get their whole outfit right there, not charging a dime.
Yeah, so I'm a building engineer, and that involves working on heating, air conditioning, electric, and plumbing. So, and I've been doing that for over 20 years now. I always like to work with my hands, and being able to fix stuff like air conditioning, boilers, it was always fascinating to me even as a kid.
I worked for DC Public Schools. I was a administrative assistant in DC Public Schools. I worked with special needs kids. Did that for about 17 years. I loved it. You love the kids, and you know, you kind of get attached.
I was the first Black council person and the first Black mayor. I wasn't supposed to really speak up at that time, so whenever I did, it was horrible. And I was the youngest, so I was intimidated. I think that's really how I became mayor. You know, just going through the whole process of all of that, you know, all of it. It just really toughened my skin. It allowed me to sharpen my skills, get involved in different things, join different groups, connect with other people, learn different things, run again, reach out to the community, get to know the community. And so that's what I did for 23 years as a council person. And then when it was time to run for mayor, I did. And I wouldn't trade one of those moments, because somebody has to go through it to make a place. I have to make a path for someone else to be able to just come right on in.
Edmonston has been, you know, generous to us. This is a prime location.
Edmonston seems like the town, the city that cares. And so, you know, when you come to Edmonston, that's what you expect.
It's just a good feeling to be a part of a neighborhood or a town that really, really cares about you.
There are resources, programs, activities, you know, even for the elderly, you know, for the children, for the middle age, there's always something for everyone to partake in.
They do different activities to bring the people together.
The town is small, but we do a lot of big things.
I like small towns rather than large towns. So, and you get to know your neighbors.
People are respectful of each other, they're courteous to each other, they support each other when, you know, they see a neighbor in need.
I don't know everybody. I can knock on any door. If there's a situation or whatever, I would be welcomed. I appreciate that about this community, because it's not like that anymore.
Our diverse multicultural community comes together as family. We support each other in times of need.
A community where we love one another and we don't even know one another. You know, it's just, you see someone and you feel like they're a part of you.
It's genuine, it's authentic, and it can't be just manufactured.
Orderly, peaceful, united, and trouble-free.
It's been a safe haven for me, and I've enjoyed living in the community.
The mindset of I'm going home to Edmonston, it's sacred. It's like a peaceful sanctuary.
No matter where we go, no matter what we do, I mean, One Way Life Church can go around the world and Edmonston can call us and we'll be there. We'll be there because I'm grateful. Thank you so much, Edmonston, and congratulations to you on your 100th year. God bless you.